If you're like most people, you probably don't think of yourself as a salesperson. Many of us think we will never sell anything. However, in truth, we're constantly persuading people to do things or to think a different way. If maybe you're in business, you might be persuading people to invest a certain way, or you might be persuading people to buy a home, which would make you a salesperson, obviously. You might also be somebody, an artist, who is trying to persuade people to go a certain way with a project, maybe to follow your advice in a project. All of this is persuasion. Now, persuasion could be also called sales. So please don't be offended when we use the word sales. Now, we're going to discuss a very important tool today. This tool is called the Monroe Motivated Sequence. When we look at the motivated sequence, we must remember two things. One, the motivated sequence depends upon your understanding and appealing to a specific targeted audience. We're going to talk about that. It also depends upon that audience's needs. What do they need? For instance, if you're dealing with people coming to a college, colleges appeal to a broad number of people. But if you wanted to appeal to make a specific appeal, you'd first of all want to know, what audience do you want? Now, let's assume that you are at a school that appeals to a general audience, an audience of people who want to go into the workforce right away. They don't expect to be doctors, lawyers, things like that. They simply want to get into the workforce. Where might you find those people? Well, you might find some of them at home. They might be single moms. Okay, so if you are appealing to single moms, you have certain needs. They have needs that have to be met. Now, let's say instead of single moms, you were appealing to young people just graduating from high school who had the whole world ahead of them, had no real responsibility, and they were just looking for a place to go to college. They would have totally different needs. So you must realize two things. One, you need to know the audience that you're appealing to, the target audience. And then second, you need to know what that audience's needs are. It's very important you understand their needs. So let's look at the Monroe Motivated Sequence. It consists of 5 distinct steps. Once you have your specific audience in mind, you need to have 5 steps. The first step is attention. The second step is need. The third is satisfaction. The fourth, visualization. The fifth, action. So the 5 steps are attention, need, satisfaction, visualization, and action. Now, those steps work in that order. They don't work in another order. They work in that order. So when you create a speech, or if you want a sales pitch, advertisement, you're going to want to follow the Monroe Motivated Sequence. So, first of all, you have to catch their attention. Realize this: the audience that you're talking to isn't thinking about what you're thinking about at the time. It's your reason. You must get them focused on something. And you must then appeal to a need. Now, those two things may be tied together. If you want an example of that, think of how beer is sold. What do you see in an ad on television for beer? I think we all know what the targeted audience is for beer. Beer usually is going to be appealing to a younger group. It's going to usually appeal to males. It's going to appeal to males who like other young people. Not trying to appear sexist, but because the advertising world is what it is, usually you'll see an ad for beer associated with fun with women. That's typical. Now, so they're catching your attention with something about women first, something about fun, something about excitement. Does that appeal to an 80-year-old man? Maybe. But does it appeal to a 20, 21-year-old man? Yes. Unless they're a non-drinker, it's probably going to appeal to them. So that's what comes first, catching their attention to something they need, something they want. Then, and only then, do they solve that need. And that's called the satisfaction step. So far we've gone through the attention step, where you're catching their attention by something they're interested in and establishing a need, something's missing from their life, and then we're satisfying the need by presenting what will solve that problem. What solves the problem of young men who are looking for fun and women? Nothing other than beer. Of course, beer works, right? So we've tied the need to beer. So we've got their attention. We establish a need, that they needed something to have fun, and the way to get fun is to have beer. Now, many people would stop at that point, but the Monroe motivated sequence goes beyond that. The Monroe motivated sequence then goes on to visualize how good things will be if you have then followed the suggestion of the advertiser, bought the beer. And you'll notice that after you've seen the beer, you're going to see pictures and visuals of people having fun, playing volleyball, playing around, doing things, maybe becoming lovers, who knows. But it visualizes how good things are going to be once you've had that. The last step, the action step, simply tells somebody how to do something. Go buy beer at John's beer store. Go buy something online. Go to www.beer.com. Vote for me. Buy this house. Sign this contract. Those are all action steps. So we follow a very simple sequence there, starting out with catching a person's attention and then reminding them that they have a problem. Once we know that they have a problem, then we solve the problem with our product or our idea. Once we've solved the problem with our idea, we then go on to visualize how good things are going to be once we've done that. And then we tell them how to do it. Now, let's take a moment and look at how this usually works. Usually people will say, beginning salespeople will say something like, today I want to sell you a beer. Well, what happens when you do that? Well, right away, the person says, no. I sold real estate for a very long time. If I said to somebody, I'm going to sell you that house, they would put up a wall between us. They would never want to buy that house. I had to find out what their need was. What did they need? Did they need a place for security? Did they need a place for their ego? Did they need a place that would provide an office space for them? What did they need? And then I would work on that need and then present something, a property, that would meet that need. I didn't stop there. That's showing somebody the steak. What you have to do is you have to then go on and sell them on the sizzle, the smell of the steak. So you would then go on to show them how they're going to use this, how good life is going to be when they do what you tell them to do. And of course, the last step is the action step, which is sign here. Buy this now. Get a special deal if you do it today. Go to this website. Sign this petition. Check this box. Those are all action steps. So the motivated sequence, again, is based upon a specific audience. You're appealing to that specific audience's need. You are then satisfying that need by giving them the answer. What solves that need? Then you show how good things are going to be if they do it, and then you tell them specifically, this is exactly what you need to do. Now, rather than think I only think of men and beer, Let me remind you, women, what do you buy when you buy perfume? Think of the ads you've seen for perfume. What are they selling there? When you buy a car, what are you buying there? You know, Scion is sort of sold to young people. Look at their ads. Cadillacs are sold, well, they've been trying to change their image, but for years have been sold to older people who wanted prestige. I challenge you to look at advertisements and see what the advertiser is doing. Who are they appealing to, and how are they doing it? Find those 5 steps in every ad that you look at. So remember the motivated sequence: attention, need, satisfaction, visualization, and action. Use that in every persuasive or sales situation you're in, and you're going to be fine. But follow that sequence. Don't change it. Follow those 5 steps in that order.